Hello dear kids, today we are going to talk about speed. Okay, so since higher grades na tayo, when we talk about speed, we basically need a formula. Okay? Pero saka, inawal ko na lang muna i-introduce. Important factors natin when we talk about speed. Okay, so aside from speed, you should also know about distance. And you should also know about time. Okay. So, ito yung dalawang important factors when you are solving for speed. Because if the distance is not given, you will not be able to solve for speed. If the time is not given, you will not be able to solve for speed. So, basic units natin when it comes to distance. Mga basic unit natin that you need to understand that it is already, that basically, the word problem is already talking about distance once you have the units of, paano ba? I need a bigger space muna kasi I need to give you the proper terms before their shortcuts. Although you are already familiar with this, just to let you know because we already did that last school year. Distance and time. I need space. Okay, sa distance natin, malalaman nyo kaagad yung mga given units natin once you will see such as yung mga terms na kilometer. Shortcut niyan is km. Pwedeng miles. Pero usually since we are here sa Philippines, no, we usually make use of kilometers rather than miles. Okay? MI ang shortcut ng miles. Meron tayong meters. Shortcut is just M alone. Marami pa yan. Pero yung mga basic talaga na ginagamit natin are kilometer and meter. Okay? Especially nga sa metric system. No? And also, it depends on how far yung distance. Kung malapit lang, if it's just yung malakad nyo lang usually, the usual distance that you can just walk, meters ang term dyan. So for example, if you're walking around KCC, it can be measured in meters. Pero if you are continuously walking for like 2 hours, we are already talking a certain amount of meters which can be converted to kilometers. Okay. So sa time naman, usual units natin dito. Sa time, malalaman nyo kagad if the given unit is in time. Of course, meron tayong hours. Or just H. In terms of writing yan ha. So for example, if meron tayong 3 hours, you don't need to solve for 3 hours talaga. But instead, you can just write 3H. 3 hours. Not 300. Okay. So meron din tayong minutes. Although ang sa minutes, you don't want to mix it up with meters. So hindi natin pwede gamitin yung M, but instead, MIN. And also, we have seconds. Dito, you can just simply write S. Okay? Ngayon, since meron tayong units na for distance, meron din tayong units for time. Okay, yan yung mga basic natin. For speed naman, pwede nyo rin malalaman yung special unit dyan for speed. Malalaman nyo that we're talking about speed once you'll see combination of distance and time. Common na units that are used are kilometers per hour, miles per hour. It's just that in this case, no, they are actually commonly written as mph. Pero hindi natin ginagamit yan dito sa Philippines because here we use the metric system which is kilometers per hour. Okay, meron din ang pinaka-common sa atin is ang meters per second. Okay? And sa book ninyo nga lang, there are things that I was able to see that your book also considers meters per minute. Pero that is very uncommon, no? to be used. Although, depende na yan kung if the unit of measurement is through minutes. Also, for distance pala, as long as may yung common term natin as yung kilometer nga. In this case, we can also consider centimeters. As long as it is a unit of length. So, considerable yan. Pero yun na nga, if you're talking about centimeters per second, it's like measuring how far or how fast an ant is traveling. Slower pa nga eh. Kung dapat sa ant, parang millimeter siguro. So anyway, these are very uncommon combination. Pati ang centimeter per second, no? These are very uncommon. Ito. Ang pinaka-use talaga, kilometers per hour, meters per second. Okay? So, since you are now introduced with terms and units for distance, time, and speed, it is now time to introduce you the formula. If you are going to solve for speed, what do you need to solve for speed? You need to take 2 units. And what are these 2 units? It's distance and time. Ano ang representation nito? It's division. So which means if you're going to solve for speed, all you need to do is just to take the distance then divide it with time. And once you'll be able to get the units, no? Pwede makuha nyo na yung speed. So let's express this as a word problem. Kunwari, I'll write it down. So example, Mark traveled a total of 54 meters in 9 seconds. How fast was he going? Ganito lang yan. You have your 3 units, di ba? You have your speed, distance, and time. Kasi obviously, since main topic natin is speed, mostly sa word problem, what you're solving for is, of course, speed. But there are times that you are tasked to solve for distance and also time. But in that case, no, tuturuan ko na lang muna kayo how to identify. You just need your speed, distance, and time checker. Okay? I-check natin yung number of units, kung ano yung mga meron dito. Read the sentence again. Mark traveled a total of 54 meters. Kung mapapansin nyo, we have the term meters. Meters fall under what? It falls under distance. Diba? Dito, distance. So, which means you can now make a checklist and saying that you now have the unit of distance. That's why I called it a checker. Okay? And then continue reading. Mark traveled a total of 54 meters in 9 seconds. Again, kung mapapansin nyo, we have another unit again, and it says seconds. And seconds fall under what unit? Time. Seconds. Okay? So, which means we now have the unit of time. What is missing here is speed. So, obviously, all you need to do now is to get the formula of speed, which is speed equals distance over time. Or, para mas maintindihan nyo, speed equals distance divided by time. Shortcut ko na lang ha. Speed is S, distance is D, and time is T. So, speed equals distance divided by time. Now, what are you going to do here? You might ask, di ba? Teacher Mark, anong gagawin namin dito? So, ganun lang. Take the unit for distance ninyo. Ano yung distance ninyo? 54 meters. So, rewrite nyo lang. May simple rule sa inyo is to rewrite. Substitute nyo yung value ngayon for D. Okay, alam nyo yung D ninyo is ang 54 meters. Diba? And then, of course, shortcut na lang yan. So, your D will be replaced as 54 meters or 54 m. Divided by your time. Your time, alam nyo na that it is 9 seconds. So, shortcut lang din yan. Divided by T will now be substituted as 9 seconds. Okay. Ano ang gagawin natin dito ngayon? Kasi nga, syempre, may division tayo dyan. So, all you need to do now is to divide. Okay? Divide nyo lang. What is 54 divided by 9? Okay? If you know your basic math, if you know your basic multiplication, you should know that 54 meters divided by 9 is 6. 6 ang answer natin. But, of course, you need the units, no? Since we made use of the units meters at saka seconds, which means our unit here is meters per second. Which means Mark was traveling 6 meters per second. Okay? So, ganun lang when we are solving for speed. Ganun lang talaga kadali. Okay, I'll give you another example. So, example, Jason drove his motorcycle for 3 hours. Okay? He traveled a total of 234 kilometers. How fast was he driving? Again, when doing such word problem, i-identify nyo lang talaga ang units. And we need our checker again. Okay? This is in general na kasi. Although you already know that you are going to solve for speed. Pero, there will be certain problems, especially sa word problems na talaga. Mainly sa word problems. You might be tasked to solve for time and even speed. So again, checker, S, D, T. Okay, reading the word problem, you should be able to identify whether there is time, whether there is speed, or whether there is distance. Okay? Jason drove his motorcycle for 3 hours. Oh, 3 hours. That falls under what? Hours. Oras. Ibig sabihin, that's time. So we already have the unit of time. He traveled a total of 234 kilometers or km. Kilometers. So, kilometers is what? That falls under? Andun na yan sa taas. I-scroll ko na lang talaga para makita. It falls under distance. So, which means you also have the unit for distance here. So, what's missing here is speed. Which means what you're solving for here is speed. Again, how do you solve for speed? Nandyan lang yung formula natin. Speed equals distance over time, or to simplify it, speed equals distance divided by time. So we have speed equals distance divided by time. So ang kailangan nyo lang gawin dito again, like what we did earlier, is to rewrite and substitute the values for distance. Ano yung value ng distance dito at saka ano yung value ng time, by simply relying sa ating word problem. So, ang value for distance natin, obviously, ang 234 kilometers. 234 km. Divided by time. What is our time? 3 hours. Or 3h. Okay. So, ganun lang. So, all you need to do now is just to divide. 234 divided by 3. So, that's 234 divided by 3. You cannot divide 2 divided by 3. So, take 2 digits na right away. That's 23 divided by 3. And only 7 will fit. 7 times 3 will give us 21. 23 minus 21 will give us 2. And bring down 4. So, from there, 24 divided by 3 will give us ilan? Will give us 8. 8 times 3 is 24. And that's 0. So, which means our answer here is 78. 78 what? 78 what? Look at our units. We have kilometers and hours. So, which means it is kilometer per hour. Okay, so this is how you basically solve for speed. Okay? Madali lang ha. All you need to do is just to take the values of distance and time. Although sa book ninyo, introduction nyo, basahin nyo lang. Okay? Everything is just there. Madali nyo lang makuha. Now, since you were able to get the logic, no, additional na lang. Since you were able to get the logic, again, solving for speed, all you need to do is just to get the distance, the value of distance, and then divide it by time. I will no longer derive formulas. No, I'll just give you the formula immediately. Now, what if you're going to solve for distance? Paano natin iso-solve ang distance? Sa distance naman, if you're tasked to solve for distance, no, if in other words, kung may checker nga tayo, example lang, if may checker tayo, sa word problem, you were able to notice that there is speed and there is time, which means what you're solving for is distance. So what is the distance, no? So paano natin iso-solve to? So kung distance naman ang sino-solve natin, all you need to do is just to take the speed and multiply it to time. Ganun lang kasimple. Okay? So ganun lang talaga kasimple. Just take the units. I am already giving you the tips. Kunin nyo lang yung units and yung checker nyo. Make sure that you have your checker. I-check nyo kung ano yung missing, that's what you're solving for. Okay? To solve for speed, all you need to do is just to take distance divided by time. To solve for distance, kunin nyo lang ang speed and then multiply it with time. Now, what if you're going to solve for t? Or time? Okay, solving for time, all you need to do is just to take your distance and divide it by speed. Okay, again, you now have 3 formulas depending on what you are solving for. Again, most of your solving there, lahat talaga is mainly about speed. But there are numbers that you are tasked to solve for distance and there are numbers that you are tasked to solve for time. Okay? So, ganun lang po kadali. So, yun na yan.